Alright, and here we are. Happy Friday the 13th. This is the last entry in the 13 for the 13th, and this will be a ranking of all 12 movies in the Friday the 13th series. But first, there's two big things that I wanted to talk about with the series. One is something that I kind of left out of my reviews, and another is some fan stuff that has been going on. I just want to say that the score for these movies is great. Most of the movies are done by the great Harry Manfredini, who as far as I can tell does all of the movies except for Jason Takes Manhattan, Freddy vs. Jason, and the 2009 reboot. He also does the music for the Friday the 13th game, which is pretty awesome. His music has added a lot to the series. Of course, he came up with the iconic theme and the little, I'm not sure if chant is the right word, but you know what I'm talking about. And just in general, a lot of his musical cues are great, very recognizable. I feel like it really helps to set Friday the 13th apart, and it sounds great. His music is awesome. And then the other thing I want to talk about on the fan side of things is two fan films, Never Hike Alone and Never Hike Alone in the Snow. Both of these are absolutely fantastic if you have not seen them. They are probably the best fan films I've ever seen, and they do great justice to the series. They bring back Tommy Jarvis and Officer Rick Cologne from part 6, and I did mention that in that review, but I kind of wanted to talk about these a bit more. But I love the concept behind them. They got some great effects. Jason is fantastic in those. Just overall, they are fantastic. They're not even too long. You can watch them in full for free on YouTube, which I will provide links down below, with the account that they are attached to being Womp Stomp Films. And from what I can see, they're planning on doing, I believe it's 3 more films taking place after Never Hike Alone, since Never Hike Alone in the Snow was a prequel. So yeah, if you have not watched them, please check them out. They are fantastic. And now getting into my ranking of the series. I really had to think on these for a while, and even still, the top few spots I'm still a little iffy on, just because the top movies that I really like a lot with this series, but I would say at least the last half of the list is fairly set in stone. So starting from number 12 and working our way up, let's look at what I think is the worst movie in the series, which if you watch the review you probably already know, and that is Jason Goes to Hell, because fuck this movie. There's hardly any Jason in it, doesn't feel like a Friday the 13th movie, it just seems like a weird possession movie that just happens to feature the character of Jason in a cameo part, breaks some of the lore, doesn't really make sense. It's a dumb movie, and honestly I'd say that for the most part you can skip over this one unless you absolutely need to see Freddy's glove grab Jason's mask. Deserves to be at the bottom. It sucks. Number 11 is Friday the 13th Part 8 Jason Takes Manhattan. This one is probably the worst made movie of the bunch. Like, you can just look at this one and tell it's very cheap. Sure, you can argue that most of these movies probably aren't very well made, but this one especially just comes off as feeling cheap. And all around it's just bad. I wish I could enjoy it in that so bad it's good kind of way, but I just can't. The main thing it has going for it over Jason Goes to Hell is that it at least feels like a Friday the 13th movie and actually has Jason in it, but otherwise this one deserves to be towards the bottom. Now, everything from here on out I think is at the very least okay. Now, sitting at number 10, ironically enough, is Jason X. Even though I'm placing it low, I do think that this one has a worse reputation than it deserves, because even if this is a bad movie, I feel like it's made by people that at least know that, and they kind of lean into it. So yes, while certainly not great, I feel like this one is at least fun. Next up is number 9, and I'm sure this one might piss off some people, because for me, that is Friday the 13th, the first one. I do feel like most of the movies on this list improve upon this film, and on the whole, this one's just like, it has slow moments in it. It stands out just because Jason's not really a thing in this one. So for me, I feel like it's definitely good to watch, to experience the series if you plan on watching them all, and it helps if you actually don't know that Jason's not the killer in this. But otherwise, I do find it a bit dull. It's definitely not bad. It's just compared to, for me, most of everything else, it's not one that I will revisit too often. At number 8 is Friday the 13th Part 3. This one is a perfectly fine slasher. It's just I find it to be pretty basic for this series, which is already kind of a basic series on its own. And you know, this is the first one where we get Jason with the hockey mask, and it's got some good kills and a very nice chase and fight with the final girl. But otherwise, there's not too much going on with this one. Number 7 is Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. Yes, Jason's not the killer, but who cares? I think Roy is fine. It's got some interesting kills. I kind of like the psychologically torture Tommy even if he is a little weird for most of the movie. And hey, this one tried to do something a little different without being a complete shit show, so I gotta give it at least some points for that. This one kind of worked for me, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. Number 6 is Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. This one definitely has some nostalgic love from me, just because this is one that I watched a lot as a kid, and I love Jason's look in this movie. It is the best look for Jason in any of the movies. Fight me. A lot of people like to scoff at the whole, oh, it's a girl with psychic powers. Who cares, man? Like, it's fine. And at this point, I don't think it's so out of place for the franchise, for better or worse. And if you took that part out of it, it's still a typical Friday the 13th movie. It's just, whoa, the final girl happens to be someone with mind powers. Up next at number 5 is Freddy vs. Jason. I'm not the biggest fan of Jason's portrayal in this movie, and it's definitely more of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie than a Friday the 13th movie, but I still like this one a good bit, because at the very least, Jason kicks a lot of ass in this, even if, again, I don't like the lumbering sort of Frankenstein's monster approach to it. And hey, he kicks Freddy's ass a lot in this, so gotta love that. Alright, so for these last 4, these are getting to ones that I think are genuinely good to great. And sitting at number 4 is Friday the 13th Part 2. This is a superior sequel to the first movie in just about every way. I think it's got some pretty good scares, some good kills. Jason's obviously introduced into this movie, and he has a great alternate look from how people typically know him with the whole sack head thing. Even though I will say, once again, not the biggest fan of the overalls, but hey, I feel like this one is a bit underrated. I don't see it brought up too often, despite being pretty good in my opinion. At number 3 is Friday the 13th from 2009, the reboot remake movie. I love this one. I feel like it does a good job of sort of summarizing the first 4 movies, taking bits from them here and there. It's got, in my opinion, the best portrayal of Jason. He's just very menacing. The physicality to him is great. There's some great kills in it. I thought this was a great reintroduction to the series, and it sucks that this wasn't followed up on. Alright, so this is where I really struggled, because I had a hard time really deciding which of these two I like more, because for me, these are pretty much on par, but I was able to figure it out. So sitting at number 2 is Friday the 13th Part 4, The Final Chapter. This is possibly the most well-made slasher movie of the bunch, and the scariest. It has some great kills, and Jason's a friggin' monster in this movie, bro. Just overall, this is seriously one of the best slasher movies out there. And despite being the 4th in the series, if someone asked me which one they should watch to get an idea of what the series is about, it would be this one. This one is just so good. I love this one. But sitting at number 1 is Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. This is where we get what you could probably consider iconic Jason Voorhees, undead, hockey mask, and all that. This movie has, I would say, a legitimately decent story, some good kills despite being fairly neutered by the MPAA. It's got some good actiony scenes, some good tension, and really helped reinvigorate the series, and added a whole lot of other stuff to it that previous movies didn't have, like action scenes that aren't just one person chasing another. Really though, on any day, I might prefer Part 4 over this, and sometimes maybe even the 2009 reboot. So the top 3 can kind of mix and match here and there, but right now, this is what I'm feeling. So tell me, how would you rank the Friday the 13th series? Let me know down in the comments. You know, what's your favorite? What's your least favorite? Which one do you think is overrated? What do you think is underrated? And how did you enjoy this series? I've had a lot of fun with the 13 for the 13th. It has caused me to work a lot more on videos than I normally would. I wouldn't mind doing a series like this again sometime in the future. So as always, a big thanks to everyone for watching and listening. Thank you again for checking out the 13 for the 13th. Happy Friday the 13th, and have a good one, everyone.